Hi guys, I'm Mr. Morris, and this is 8 games in 8 months, and how I learned to become a game developer. Roll credits! Roll intro scene. So, why did I start game development? One day last year, like in around summer, I think it was in August, I came home after a really bad day at work, and I thought to myself, I want to try something else, I want to do something else with my life. And I thought to myself, why not game development? I mean, I've never done it before, but it's always interested me. So I'm sure there are ways of learning it, right? So I set out to do a little bit of research on what sort of game engines there are out there. I picked up Unreal Engine and Unity. And then when I dug deeper into both of those, I found out that Unreal was more for like 3D games. I saw like Fortnite was made on it and stuff like that, and I didn't really want to go down that path. And then on Unity, I saw that there was actually some 2D games made with it. So Hollow Knight, Cuphead, and other examples. And I was like, I think I prefer 2D art, so I'm gonna try and make a 2D game. So how did I get started? So basically after I picked my game engine, which was Unity, then I went to YouTube and Google to kind of look up for tutorials. And I came across Bracky's tutorial, how to make a video game. That was super useful actually. Didn't understand anything that I was doing. So I just followed the tutorial along exactly how Bracky's was teaching it. I didn't really understand C#, I'd never coded before in my life. And this was literally the first time that I was in Unity. Even though it was a 3D project, I still had a lot of fun. I still learned a lot. And that was basically my first game. And it took me about a week, I would say. Like I took my time with the tutorials, even though they're like 20 minutes long, it still took me like maybe 2 hours per video or an hour per video. So it took me like a solid week just to get that done. After that though, I wanted to start making my own games already. So I was thinking, I'm gonna try and do my own game, think of what I want to do. And the idea that they came up with was basically an endless runner. And I just finished watching the anime One Punch Man, the first season. So I was deep into that. Like that's such an amazing show. If you haven't seen it, then I totally recommend watching it as well. But I was thinking, you know what? An endless runner with One Punch Man is just like a match made in heaven, So all these enemies come and just one punch, boom, disappears. But so I made that. I put it onto the Google Play Store. It was actually quite popular. It was very buggy. It wasn't very responsive now that I look back. So it got a lot of good reviews for some reason, but it also got a lot of negative reviews. And then finally it got taken down for copyright. So that was my first game. After that, I entered a game jam for the first time. Again, still, I didn't really have much knowledge of how to code and Unity that much. So for the game jam, I basically followed like a tutorial, but I reskinned it. I changed some of the things. So like in the tutorial, I didn't need absolutely everything. So I stripped some stuff out, added some other stuff. But still, I had to make like all the art, I had to make all the sounds and stuff like this, and still package and release a game in 2 days. So that was really cool. The theme of the game jam was nature. So between my partner and I, we brainstormed a sort of game where you would have to fish, but instead of fishing the fish, you would have to fish the trash. So basically, you're saving the fish by fishing out the trash from the ocean. And hence the name, Save the Ocean. She did actually most of the pixel art on this game. I actually just coded most of it because the game jam was kind of short, so I didn't have a lot of time to do stuff, so she helped me out. Then I found this awesome game engine called GB Studio. It's like a small game engine that's super simple. You don't even need to know how to code, but you basically build games that look like Game Boy games. And there's a lot of restrictions, but it's still a lot of fun. And actually, I think that it helped me a lot to start thinking logically, without the worry of needing to code. So there was still a lot of if statements that I needed to figure out. There was a lot of actions and triggers that I needed to make work. And I think that was kind of a turning point almost for me, because once I jumped back into Unity, the code started to make more sense. So if you're starting out, I would totally recommend to check out GB Studio. Like, just because for the nostalgia, like trying to make a Game Boy game, it's cool, but it also really helped me just to understand like logically how things work. After that, I made Haiku the Shooter. So when you're learning how to game develop, you just have all these ideas constantly, and you just kind of want to push yourself and try different things. So when people in a lot of videos, they always recommend to start out small. Like, I totally second that. Starting out small kind of gets that urge out of your system, you know, to try stuff and learn and to just keep pushing yourself. So this was a small one that I kind of made based off of my commercial game, which is the whole reason why I started learning how to develop games. It's just like a very simple mechanic that I wanted to do, which was basically for every tap, you change your direction and you also shoot. So you tap to shoot and change direction. So it adds this kind of, it's a nice mechanic because you have to kind of be somewhat skilled and time your taps right, but you also have to kind of double tap occasionally, and then you have to remember if you double tap, then you're actually going to end up traveling the same direction that you were and stuff like this. Also, halfway through that game, I watched a really cool video on how to do procedurally generated levels, which was quite simple. So halfway through the game, I kind of made the first, I think like 10 or 20 levels kind of like easy. And then after the 20th level, it was just like never ending. So you could just constantly keep generating new levels. The code then was pretty ugly, but I would say it was the first game that I actually coded myself. So I didn't use many tutorials except for the procedurally generated stuff, but everything was basically mine. And that felt really good, by the way, because once you start actually writing the code yourself, you start understanding it a lot more. And then when bugs arise, you have to fix the bugs. And that's basically like the best way to learn. Like, you just do it, you see that it doesn't work, and you fix. And then that fixing period is really the part where you start learning. So yeah, I released that on the Apple Play Store. You can download it. I'll leave a link in the description below. It's not great now that I look back on it, but still I think it was an amazing achievement for the time. Then on to my next game. It was around Christmas and we were binge watching The Mandalorian, and I think everybody can agree when I just absolutely fell in love with Baby Yoda. So in about 2 weeks, like, mind you, this game took me about 2 weeks to make over the Christmas period, I made a Baby Yoda simulator game. So basically it's like a simple Tamagotchi type where you have to care for your baby type of game. You have to feed it, play with it, and also clean your Baby Yoda. It was really fun to make, and that game I actually made completely by myself. I learned a lot about how to store like stats in the player's local device and stuff like this. I learned a lot about UI elements, animations, and I even got to implement like different skins and backgrounds and stuff like that. So that was super fun. They're also available on Google Play and the App Store. Baby Yoda is not green because otherwise the App Store does not approve of that. And also it's not called Baby Yoda. So check out the links below and you can download it. Moving on to my most recent game jam, Ludum Dare 46, then I really wanted to test how much I had progressed in the last 8 months, and I wanted to finish a small but well-polished game in just 48 hours. So I took my commercial game, Haiku the Robot, and I made it into an arcade-like shoot 'em and survive as long as possible type. It was really fun. I'm really pleased with how the visuals look. I've got a lot of good feedback on the music, even though it was my first time ever composing music, and I did it in like 2 hours at the very last minute. But saying that, I think I focused a little too much on visuals, and there was a little bit of gameplay that was lacking. So the game, I got a lot of feedback from it as well in the comment section that there wasn't really a good wave system. It was kind of a bit bland and a bit dull. At least for my personal opinion as well is the same. But because of time, then I just didn't really put that much effort into it. But anyway, I mean, this is a lesson learned for next time. So next time I'll probably focus a little less on the visuals and a bit more on the actual gameplay itself. What am I currently working on? Then all this time during this last 8 months, I've actually been working on my main project in my commercial game, Haiku the Robot. It's a Metroidvania with modern pixel art, and you basically play as this little robot, little chunky robot, little round boy. He has a lot of names on social media. So you basically play as this little dude trying to get rid of an evil virus that has affected this machine world. It features like a huge interconnected map where, you know, as you explore and unlock new abilities, you unlock new areas and stuff like that. Typical Metroid stuff. It has some cute aesthetics, but also it's quite grungy and dark. So if you like pixel art and Metroidvanias, then definitely check out my social media accounts below. I think you might like the game. So that's how I made 8 games in 8 months and how I learned how to become a game developer. 2 things that I forgot to mention during the video is the pixel art tool that I use, Sprite. I found that through Mort's YouTube channel, which is an amazing pixel artist. He also does some game development as well. And also I think he's recently started doing some 3D modeling. So he's really good. I watched a video from there. I saw Sprite and I bought it, downloaded it. It's only 15 bucks. And yeah, I mean, I've used that thing. I could have probably paid like 100 bucks for that, the amount of usage that I got out of it. But yeah, so definitely check that out. And also, the second thing is the API documentation from Unity for scripting. My approach these days for anything that I do game dev related is to first plan more or less the logic that I want to use in the game, and then I check the API the scripting documentation to see if it's possible. So I think this is like the best way to learn once you got a better handle on like coding and logically how stuff works, because you can just literally do everything yourself, and you can do it the way you want, because if you plan it beforehand, you can already get an idea of like how you want to code it and deliver it or implement it. So yeah, those 2 things are super important as well. But that's it. Basically, I want to end this video by saying, if you want to get into game development, it is not impossible. It is totally possible. If I can do it, I'm not a developer, so I didn't have any prior experience of coding or anything like that. So if I can do it, you can do it as well. All it takes is a little bit of time and effort, but it's very doable. And that's it. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be super grateful if you could leave a like and subscribe below. And until next time, bye.